everyone. That was really nice to hear Nicole speak before me. I felt like she was giving me a pep talk back there. Thanks. All right, so yeah, I'm Jasmine. I'm a designer at Code for America, and I'm going to talk to you about Clear My Record, which is one of our projects. All right, so Code for America is an organization, it's a nonprofit, full of technologists, designers, engineers, researchers, policy people, basically people who care about government and making it work better, who are really interested in this question. What would it look like if government worked like some of the apps and services that we use every day that you might be looking at right now on your phone? What if it was easy to use? What if their services actually worked? And what if we did it for some of these problems, like putting food on people's table, keeping them out of jail, getting them jobs, and getting them the health care that they deserve? And so my team at Code for America is working on a project we call Clear My Record that I started in 2016. And our goal is to use technology to help people clear old convictions from their criminal record so that they can pass a background check and get the opportunities that people who have a criminal record are typically withheld from. And the reason we're working on this, and the reason that I think is super important, is because if you talk to somebody who has a criminal record, and I've talked to hundreds of people who have a criminal record, you'll hear a story that's similar to this. I've been working really hard at trying to change my life for some time now, but my past keeps popping up. And this happened a long time ago. I'm not the same person anymore. But every time I try to get my life together, it's like people won't let me move forward. And it's true. Having a criminal record, even for just one offense, can haunt you for the rest of your life, even 10 or 20 years after your last conviction. And this affects a lot of people. About 1 in 4 US adults has a criminal record. And it really sucks because the very things that you're blocked from if you have a criminal record are the things that would help you get back on your feet and support yourself, your family, and your community. So the opportunity, though, is that California is kind of a cool state. I'm a native Californian. And we have some of the most progressive laws about record clearance in the country. So Californians have already agreed that people who have a criminal record should be able to make changes on their record to more accurately reflect the person that they are today. And we call these record clearance laws. And so that means about 5 million people in California are eligible to clear something off of their record, which is super exciting to us and is why we started this project. Because you might have heard, other people are excited about this too. There's like these big policy wins that have been happening. Prop 47 in 2016 reduced low-level felonies to misdemeanors, and Prop 64 recently passed in California legalizing marijuana, which means marijuana convictions on your record now should not, technically they shouldn't affect you, but they actually are still affecting you. So we wanted to see, what does it look like on the ground? Like, what do these big policy wins look like affecting people's lives? And are they actually as big of a win as the news are making them sound like they are? So in January of 2016, we went around the Bay Area to just see what it looks like to try to clear your record. And we found ourselves waiting in crowded waiting rooms of free walk-in clinics that usually happen only once a week, watching applicants wait around for 3 hours to get their, to speak with the one attorney assigned to Clean Slate on staff. We also found ourselves wading through crowds of hundreds of people at these record clearance fairs. This is in Santa Cruz. While people try to push their way through the 5 public defenders that were there to help them answer these questions that were really hard to understand and these forms that were like really unintelligible. And we were listening to people's stories who were trying to clear their records. And they were talking about how they've been trying to do this for a really long time now, to no avail. They've been putting lots of their time and resources into this. And they're just feeling beaten down, crushed, and eliminated by the system, which is frustrating because they're hearing people talk about how exciting these policy wins are, but they're not able to see that affecting them when really it's their right to get these policies applied to them. So we looked into how many people have actually completed this process, only 1% of people in California have actually succeeded at clearing their records. Which sucks because there's about 40% of people who we've talked to need to clear the records in more than one county. And so to clear your record in one county, you have to go to each county and apply there. And so when we looked at it before starting Clear My Record, we realized that people were doing it in a really linear fashion. So they were going to one county, finishing there, and it would take them 3 to 6 months. Then they would go to the next one, then they would go to the next one. And so we realized that California did pass the policies that opened the doors for people to clear their records, it is a big win. It's a really good thing that happened. It's just that very few people are actually doing it. And so we wanted to see, what could we do? Is there some way that technology could help make the implementation of this policy more effective? And so our first stab at this, and we're trying 3 different ways to do this, but our first stab in April of 2016 was, we just thought, like, what if we just made the application online and across all the counties in California? So what if you could just select the counties you needed to apply to, and we'd send your application to a public defender in that county? And so we built something that does this, and we see people using it at record clearance fairs, job fairs, with their caseworkers, or at home. So you can apply to clear a record on your computer or phone, select the counties that you thought you might need to apply to. And this is actually where most of the work went in. It wasn't really in building the technology to do this, because if there's any engineers or designers in the room, putting a form online is not like super complicated, but getting the partnerships in all of the counties across California is what was really challenging. So we went individually to each public defender's office, told them, like, we think that this is a good thing that you should be doing. Would you accept applications from us? And they said yes or no. So we send their application to the people that they've selected, and then we built a way for our public defenders and legal aid attorneys to text or email their clients with a status update of where their application is. So far, Clear My Record has done this for 7,000 people across 14 counties in California, which is exciting, but also we wanted to help 5 million people, and so we figured that this just isn't fast enough. So now we're looking at some new ways. And so this weird slide with weird circles is just saying that that first circle there on the right is our first stab at it. It's helping people across multiple counties. And then we measured our results and realized it's actually going slower than we wanted to. Like, we want to be in 58 counties in California, not 14 counties in California. And so we wanted to look at why is that happening? We realized that if someone wants to clear their record, but some of these things are true, they don't qualify as low income, their county doesn't provide clean slate services, and about 25 to 30 counties in California don't help people who have a criminal record make changes on it. They're public defenders at capacity, so even though they're willing to accept applications, they can only accept 20 to 50 a week because they just don't have enough people in their office. Or they don't have money for a private attorney, even though they also don't qualify as low income. So if one of these things are true, that means they have to clear their record on their own, meaning an attorney will not be there to help them, and they have to navigate this crazy system alone. So now we're thinking about, how can we help those people apply on their own in every county that they need to? Can we just make it easy for them to do it without an attorney? And so we went back out to do research at the end of last year, and we were thinking about, what is it that attorneys do really well? Like, what is it that these people are missing out on? And then we figured that what attorneys do really well is they read these really crazy, weird pieces of paper that are called a rap sheet, or a record of arrests and prosecutions. It basically notes everything that's ever happened to you in the criminal justice system in California. But there's like acronyms and codes, and like a regular human could not read this. So attorneys are really good at reading this piece of paper. Attorneys are really good at holding in this this is what an attorney's head looks like inside. They like navigate these laws, and they're reading this paper and thinking like, okay, if X, Y, and Z, then A, B, and C, and they're eligible for this thing. So we like followed their brains through this logic tree. And then they like figure out, what you're eligible for, and they fill in these forms that are designed for people who have a law degree. So we thought, is there some way that we could replicate something like that while working with an attorney to help us navigate it? We thought, what if you could take a picture of your rap sheet? It would scan and parse the important information from that rap sheet, or OCR for any of the engineers in the room, go through that crazy eligibility tree, and then auto-populate the forms that you needed to fill out. And so we did something like that. Yay! Good team. So yeah, we built a thing that does that. You take a picture of your rap sheet. It tells you what we read on it, which is in itself, that's just really cool and helpful for people because they can't read that piece of paper. Then it takes you through all the steps I've kind of gone through to the end. You download your paperwork, and then it pops up the forms from your county that look like those ugly forms I showed you before with the stuff filled out for you. And so ideally, we want to be able to also take this further and send it to the courts for you. So we're still working on that. But yeah, it was just a proof of concept. We did that at the beginning of this year. And it also opened the doors for more things. So that was how do we help people apply on their own? But now we're also thinking about, well, if we can automatically read a criminal record and automatically go through the eligibility, can we get the state to do it for you? Why should you have to apply if the policy was passed? It should just be applied to you when you're eligible. So our long-term dream is, and we're not here yet, but our long-term dream is, what if you just finish probation, which is one of the requirements of being able to clear your record, and then you got a message from the state. It's kind of weird that they would have your phone number, but but we're dreaming here. And an encouraging and helpful message from them. And so one thing that is really present in our work at Code for America, especially on the Clear My Record team, is that we're always thinking about how policy and technology interacts. Policy opened the doors for this project. We wouldn't have been able to do this if California didn't have record clearance laws that allowed people to do this. And then technology can go in and make the implementation work really well. Not that it works really well now. We're still hacking away at it. And technology also, along the way, we notice things that are wrong that should be fixed. You should be able to automatically clear your record. That should be a law. And so then we can go back to policymakers and say, hey, we noticed this pain point here. Maybe you guys want to work on this policy change while we're hacking our way over here. And so we just keep going back to our partners. This is some public defenders that we work with. We just tell them, okay, we fixed this thing. Now what's the next biggest problem that we should be focusing on? Because really, we care about the big problem of clearing all eligible records, and the solution doesn't really matter that much, and it doesn't even need to be that beautiful or slick or fancy. We care about how can we make the policy on the ground match the reality of the law, and we've tried these 3 different ways to do it. Maybe we can do that if we connect people with public defenders. Oh, no, that didn't work as well as we wanted it to. Okay, maybe if we just make it super easy to apply on your own, that has its challenges too. Okay, well, maybe if the state does it themselves, then we would be able to clear all eligible records. And so I feel the theme that my teammates and I think about a lot is that justice means getting the implementation right. Because we can pass a policy that opens the doors for people to clear their records. We can all agree that it's the right thing to do. But if nobody can actually get the thing that we believed is the right thing to do, then all they see is false promises. And so by looking at how policy works on the ground and talking to the people who it affects directly, we've started to figure out what it might take to get the implementation right across California and in other states too. And so if something like this inspires you, I would really encourage you to think about policies that were passed or problems that you care about or people that you care about, and just be really tied to that thing and just try different ways to get at it. And if you liked this presentation here, my teammates and I are looking for a product manager, and there's other positions at Code for America that are open right now too. So you guys could come hack at this with us. So anyways, all that to say that we really care about these people. This is a record clearance fair in Contra Costa last year. And my personal mission is just to send all of the people that I meet the message that I actually do care about you. And I think that it's not cool that if a policy is a win for everybody but not for you, I don't think it's working well enough. So I want to send that message to everybody, and if you want to join us to help us do that, I would please apply at Code for America. Thanks.